Now, I've seen some strange things here in my time in Final Fantasy XIV, but nothing compares to the pure epicness of this beard. It's literally the grandest thing I've ever laid eyes on. It is incredible. In my journey through the post-Elrond Reborn patches, I have arrived on another primal fight, but this primal is 50% beard, about 10% primal, and then another 50% beard. It's time to brave the beard storm. Here we go. This video also contains heavy spoilers for post-Elrond Reborn 2.3, patch 2.3, so you have been warned. We pick up this episode back at the Rising Stone. We talk to Minfilia, who has been alerted by yet another primal, and this one is in Gridania. Well, in bursts Minfilia's stepmom to say, hey, there's some refugees here to work, you know, kind of like what we did for the Domans in the last, patch. Minfilia gives her mom all the sass in the world. Like, if that ever happened to me, I would be in a coffin. Well, anyway, we talk to the refugees who beg and plead, and Minfilia's like, meh, I can't be bothered. Tataru chimes in and says, hey, remember Alphie? Well, it appears that he was wounded in some riots. Well, there was a whole bunch of commotion in Ul'dah, and somehow Alphie got mixed up in it. And immediately, the mood picks up for everyone. Everyone seems to be a little bit happier. Yes! Yes! But we visit our best girl, Momodi, at the quicksand, and unfortunately, Alphie is still on his 2 feet. No! No! And we have to listen to him yet again ramble on about something that's unimportant, tea and biscuits and such. Well, he starts explaining that there is no other power in Ul'dah except for money. The rich are the best and the poor are the worst. Like the Alamegans, who are all the refugees from their broken down city, really don't have a say here in Ul'dah. Like, they can't even afford t-shirts, it seems. And those who are in power typically are the ones who have the most money. Where have we heard this? People who are in power, who have a lot of money, and that's how they are able to sustain the power. Well, the Sultana Banana and Raubon decide that they can't just let people suffer because they're good eggs. They don't want people to be in a bad place. But then you have the evil mustache Lalafels who are questioning every single expense that they are putting out, like helping the refugees. Problem is if the Immortal Flames go off to the Joint Alliance training session that's happening at the Battle of Cardno, the people in the streets will almost certainly scream Viva la Revolution, or whatever that song from Coldplay is. Refugees seem to be painted out to be the bad guys, but they are all equipped with like really good armor and really good weapon, like ooh-woo weapons. And the only reason for it is because someone has been paying for their equipment. Like, if they had a choice to buy really good armor and weapons over food, why wouldn't they choose food? Alphie says that this smells like Lalafell shenanigans. Well, Raubon retorts that, hey, we need to settle the riots before we do anything. Like most of us, Raubon openly disrespects Alphie by just straight up walking away from him mid-conversation. Well, now we talk to Pokemon Move Swift here, and he says there's some super sus activity happening off by Blackbrush Station. The Brass Blades say there was a merchant who came through here, and he was very opinionated about our beloved Sultana, so he must die. I mean, he must be talked to. Well, this Zazawaka, and that's the real name, look it up, it's so weird. Zazawaka over here tells me how crazy this fanatic was talking about a revolution and such, but it convinced a few people to go and do something about it. Well, unfortunately, Alphie's cowlick was right, and the merchant did offer weapons to the refugees to have them incite some riot. But then they ran into a group of Immortal Flames who basically sent them back to respawn. Well, now the angry Calfstash goes into this underwater cave, and then we are attacked by the second batch of refugees who were all weaponized up. And they think that I'm an Immortal Flame. Unfortunately for them, the Immortal Flames actually have some type of code of honor holding them back. That luxury is not afforded for the Caffeinated Stash. Like, I don't even have to have a reason to unalive them. This is an average Tuesday night for me. Only problem though, the merchant wasn't there. So off we go to look at Stone's Throw for the merchant, but all we do is find a crying kid. And legitimately, y'all made this girl cry, and like this calf dad is pissed. This is the end. We're throwing hands. Well, she gives us a direction to head off to, and we find a mistrustful merchant, and he was like trying to hide from me. There is no hiding from the stash. He denies it until I take an angry step towards him. Well, up walks this archer in the distance and completely ices this merchant before he drops any extra information. Like, honestly, this is a hell of a shot. Legolas up in this bee. Well, some guards run over and it looks super suspicious. Like, I don't have a bow, but there's a dude with a giant arrow sticking out of his chest. I'm not a bard. Like, if I was a bard, this would look really bad. Well, we rush back to tell Swift and Ulta, like, yo, we almost died for your shenanigans. I mean, like, the arrow probably would have deflected off the stash, but anyway, it startled me. Well, Alphie wants us to go play politics with the Sultana Banana, and Raubon tries to uncover the reason for the riots. Nanimo identifies a group of brass blades who loosed arrows onto unarmed protesters, inciting the violence. Who do we know who owns the brass blades? Anyway, it's confirmed that Teleji offered him coin. I called it. Apparently, Teleji is using these riots to force more immortal flames to defend Ulta, so Teleji can take undisputed rule over the battlefields of Cardinal. He wants that area because guess what? There's Alleghane mech stuff that is superior to the power of the Ultima weapon. Yay! And apparently this Omega weapon is the last possible vestige to stop all the primals altogether, meaning Bahamut destroyed everything. But if it could be restored, the Omega weapon, then, well, crap on a crap stick. Outside the Sizzly Sultana room is a little girl that we met up from earlier. Alphie volunteers to help her. Okay. Alphie, I hate you a little less each time I meet you. Well, Minfilia tells me that her Chick-fil-A order is ready, and I come back for the quest, Lord of the Levin. Chat goes crazy with the greatest beard in Final Fantasy XIV. The Sylphs may have summoned their primal Ramuh, half man, half beard, and another half beard. Well, apparently, all the new angry refugees that have bled over into the Shroud have caused the Sylphs to panic summon Ramuh. So now we gotta go talk to Mon and Connie again to try to settle things down, only to confirm that the greatest beard in the world has been summoned. And now we need to go and talk to him, mainly because we're not able to fall for his seductive beard fluffies, but he's actually not an angry, raging tyrant like the other primals. He's actually a pretty chill dude. Well, we see our flying cabbages here, and now we need to go and talk to the big guy. Well, in blows a huge storm, and here's the best beard in the entire game. Literally spawned out of a bolt of lightning. Luckily, here, all the Scions actually join me because they're hoping that he isn't going to enthrall them. Well, he starts telling us that we are all BS because the Sylphs are caught up in our human war. We show him our cool rock collection and he says, I'll let you live if you survive my trial. So here we go. We get here and the music is cool. Not nearly as aggressive as I thought it was going to be. It's more like chill vibes with this. But I will admit, he starts putting out massive lightning damage onto everyone. It's really cool fight effects. Not only that, he has a huge health pool. And it's like a lot of health. So like this fight takes a long time. And it's not necessarily like super difficult, but it's like if you mess up on the mechanics, it's a long fight. It's a marathon rather than a sprint. Also, just right towards the end of this fight, I sniped the Warrior Limit Break 3 just because, well, I deserve it, damn it. I never get to see them. Ramuh tells us how he appreciated us kicking his beard in, and he says, you got to take care of the forest as well as the world, Warrior of Light. Well, we give the Serpent Lieutenant the thumbs up, and then we talk to Mom and Connie, and again, she's like, hey, thanks, my dude, I appreciate your stash, but then she's nervous about how things are going. Things are, well, stressful, to say the least. And she wants to know what the hell is causing it. Well, we dip off to more donuts, and Minfilia is like, that's cool, but here, listen to our super awesome PowerPoint presentation with Orangutan. So her and Uber Danger explain how the primals came to be, what happens to them after they die, and what happens to normal people when they die. But apparently the Askians, when they die, they don't go back to the afterlife as normal. They go and get reincarnated after a time. Well, the plan is just to stop them before they float off until they're dead space, and all of their quote-unquote aether actually disperses. Then we get a cutscene of the Legion of Doom. They're all sitting around talking about evil plans and such, and what they're going to end up causing. Then we get a final shot of this evil demon thing, like, okay, whatever, let's just throw hands. You know, I just fought a great beard. Let's go. I'm not scared of you guys anymore. We talk to Minfilia again, and she says, thanks, my dude, you did great. And now walks in Aquanaut, and he tells us of his big plan. He has a new organization ready to go for us. He also tells us that he found Ellie's parents, so yay, we're good to go, no more crying kid. Minfilia wants us to parade around town and say hi to everyone because, well, we have to go and see our roaring fans. Well, up walks Hoary Boulder, and he's like, hey, we're pretty good, and then he tosses out the idea, let's fight Caffeinated Dad himself. I don't believe it'll turn out too well for you, but you know what? I'll humor you, at least. Let's go and do this. We set up a contest to go and throw down, but the kids ran around town and told everyone that we were getting ready to fight, like Scions, various NPCs, all these kids all come to watch Hori Boulder duel me. Oh god, this is going to be so bad. So Caffeinated Dad becomes literally the most toxic warrior, and in one rotation, I down him, and while he's trying to recover, I start doing the Vanderbilt dance while the kids are cheering me on. I crush him again and again, and I proceed to disrespect him and Coltonette. I became so toxic.
Am I a joke to you?
Well, he yields, and Alphie is like, nice, you are the guardian of Eorzea. Then he has a reminiscent of his G-Pops and why he would stay here in Eorzea to defend this place with such ferocity. Well, apparently, I'm the reason that Alphie stays, so I'm sorry guys, that one's on me. My fault, we should have thrown him back to Canada or wherever he came from. But nevertheless, I'm sorry, and here we go. We talked to him one last time at the Rising Stones, and Alphie tells us about his new plan to make a brand new company to fight the evil that we have been seeing that is outside the laws of the city-state, so Ul'dah, Gridania, and Limsa. He literally sends me all over the damn world trying to recruit people for our super awesome boy band. We run around and talk to so many people that we've already had interactions with, but we're only ever getting like 1 or 2. We see some of the older characters, but the main one that pisses me off is Laurentius, that asshat that sold out the Wood Whalers to the Garlean Empire. Why are we recruiting him? And he says yes, and everyone's okay with it. Nah, God, this is bad. Well, we get a few takers here and there, but Alphie is happy that we got anyone at all. Then we get a scene of Nanamo talking to Raubon, and basically she has a breakdown because even as a Sultana, like one of the most powerful people in Ul'dah, she can't do a damn thing to stop or slow down all the BS of the Syndicate. Because he's been very careful, they really can't do much to touch Lodorito or Teleji, and it really causes her to cry. And I didn't like this scene because it reminded me of like my daughter's crying. Well, we pray return to the Rising Stones, and Minfilia says, hey, check out Slathborn and dealing with all these weird people. But then apparently, one of the shipments that we had coming in as a gift from Lord Harchenfont got stolen. So off we go to hear him actually have a voice. And I swear to God, this is not what I thought he was going to sound like.
West of here, and with ever-increasing regularity, a visit to Whitebrim Front may bring you the answers you seek. Will you brave the snows, knowing what implacable foes may lie in wait?
At all. This caught me off guard. I thought it was going to be deeper. Well, we get to see this boy band working out without a t-shirt in line of sight of Lord Harchenfont, and well, off we fly to see Drillmont at Whitebrim Fort. Now we are hunting heretics who are harrying everyone in the zones. But more specifically, this lady Iceheart. Well, this looks interesting. I feel like her name is also Elsa in some other time and place. But anyway, we talk to this merchant who tells us to go fight some heretics by Snowcloak before talking to a knight who's just standing in the cold. We get a brief shot of Elsa before she walks off. And Drillmont says, you could have done more, but I suppose it's fine. We come back to Harchenbro, and it feels kind of like he's like low-key hitting on us. I'm not gonna lie, he like zoomed in on my crotch, and then we see the shirtless men in the background. Listen, do you? He's really infatuated with Warrior of Light. Well, he says the Ishgardian Knights will handle it from here, so we go back to tell Slathborn that there's a new shipment coming in. We get to the Rising Stones to ring in their new recruits for our private army, but we have to give them all a bunch of uniforms. And we meet a bunch of people that I've seen before, but a bunch that I haven't at all. So Alphie then tries his best to stand up in front of everyone and use his big boy voice and raise his arms to our Walmart version of the Avengers here, and he declares us the Crystal Braves. I'm not gonna lie, that name is kind of cheesy. It's pretty bad. Well, the 16-year-old tries to get them up and ready to fight for the Scions and Eorzea, but this probably won't work out all that well. I'm just saying, I think most of these people, we just kind of like, there's no background check. Anyway, Minfilia talks to us one final time, and we find out that there's nothing left at the school, or I should say the Isle of Val. Like a massive explosion wiped out everything, and that one of their friends only has a mild concussion. We then get this cutscene of Lord Harchenfont standing in the snow saying, huh, it's kind of cold up in this bee, which then translates to us seeing the great Pope of Ishgard seated in front of a massive army with 2 Askians standing directly behind him. That's not foreboding. Okay, so this leg of the journey took me quite a while to get through, but it was actually really interesting to see the steps taken for a new unified Eorzea. From us dealing with the most gentlemanly of primals with Ramuh and his super cool trial, all the way to recruiting a whole bunch of people that are forming a private army, basically. I was actually a huge fan, and honestly, that beard, my wife would never let that slide, but it's an interesting thought. In my opinion, it's odd to see the direction that Alphie is trying to take. and trying to make us more of an independent city-state rather than dealing with all of the city-states that already exist. I understand why we are doing it, however, it seems like it is all rushed, and unfortunately I feel like that's gonna not bode well for us. And we do find out that the money from the whole Endeavour is coming from wealthy Syndicate members, and it hardly seems ethical. To sell swords, just gonna say it. Well, now we are off to figure out how we can help the realm while still maintaining this beautiful stash. And if you didn't know, I've already gone through the Mandeville quests, and honestly, they are the most important quests in Final Fantasy XIV. Of course, aside from the MSQ. You can find that video here. Otherwise, stay caffeinated, folks.